is Amber, and I'm going to be teaching you and reviewing with you a couple of math algorithms today. We're going to be working on multiplication, so we're going to start with our normal algorithm, which is what you would probably see in math classes today, practicing with your teachers, your parents, and your other friends in your classroom. So I'm going to be showing you step by step how we do this math problem, this multiplication problem, and then I'm going to teach you something else that might be a little more fun. So let's start with this. All right, first, in a normal multiplication problem, we have the numbers 82, we'll say, and 73. Our first step is going to be to take our ones place here, 2, and our 3 in our 73, ones place, and multiply them together because we're moving from right to left. So we do 2 times 3, which is 6, and we place our 6 directly underneath the 2 and the 3. Then we're going to move on, and we're going to take this 3, and we're going to multiply it with our 8 up here. 8 times 3 is 24, and we're going to place it directly below the problem here as well. Now, in order for us to move forward, we need to put a 0 here for our empty spot. We're going to multiply the 7 and the 2 to make 14. Place the 4 here and carry our 1. Now, we're going to do 7 times 8, which is 56, and then we're going to add our 1 to make it 57. And then we're going to line it up down here underneath the problem and put our equals line. Now, once we have this, we're going to be adding. We're going to add these two numbers together, and then we'll finally get our answer. So 6 plus 0 is 6. 4 plus 4 equals 8. 7 plus 2 is 9. And finally, our 5 plus nothing is 5. So our final product will equal 5,986. This is our traditional multiplication problem that you'll learn in your classroom right now. But if you follow me over here just for a second, I'm going to show you a little bit different way to tweak it, and we'll break it down. Okay, let's go over here to my new algorithm that I'm going to teach you. I like to call this multiplication wrestling. So, first, I'm going to explain this. This is FOIL. FOIL is first, outside, inside, last. That's what you need to remember. Just keep that in your brain. First, outside, inside, last. Now, we have the same problem here, except for instead of setting it up vertically, we're setting it up horizontally. This will make it a little easier to break the numbers down, which is what I'm going to show you how to do. So let's start with our 82. We're going to turn this into tens and ones because that'll make it a little easier to add and multiply. So we have 82. We're going to turn that into 80 plus 2 to make our 82. And we're going to place those in parentheses. Okay? Then we're going to add our little tiny multiplication sign here so we just remember that we're multiplying. And we're going to move on to our 73. We're going to make 73 in our parentheses, 70 plus 3. End of our parentheses. So now we have our new multiplication problem here. 80 plus 2 times 70 plus 3. So for wrestling, this is where we tie in our wrestlers. We have the 82 team and the 73 team. This one's blue, this one has a little bit of red, so we can differentiate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our one wrestler from our first team and have him wrestle with our team from the red team over here under the 70. And we're going to start with our F. So we start with our first numbers in the sequence. And I'm going to just draw a line here so we know which one we're going to be multiplying with. So we're going to multiply 80 and 70. So our wrestlers, we're going to move them just a little bit out of the way here. Whoop. And we're going to do 80 times 70. And they are going to come down here and they're going to wrestle. Okay? While they're wrestling, they're going to tell us the answer. The answer to 80 multiplication 70 is going to be, we can do 8 times 7, which is 56 like we did in our other problem. But with the 56, we get to add in our 2 zeros in our tens place. So then it turns into 5,600. Okay, so now that we have our first team, these guys can be moved out of the way, and we'll we'll start with, or we'll move on to our O in FOIL, outside. So that means we're going to take, instead of having this here, I'm just going to kind of erase it so we know what we're doing. We're going to have 80 wrestle with our outside number, Mr. 3 here. Okay? So we're going to have our wrestler move down, another wrestler move down, and we're going to do 80 times 3. So while they're wrestling, we're going to have them tell us the answer, and their score is going to be 8 times 3, which is 24. All right. And then we're going to add our 0 for our tens place. So now that we have that, we can scooch these guys out of the way. And then we're going to start with inside. Remember, FOIL, F-O we've done, so now we need to do the I, which is going to be our inside. So our inside numbers that you can see, I'm going to erase this again, and you can see our inside numbers are 2 and 70. So we're going to move on to multiplying 2 and 70. So I'm going to place our 2 here, times, and then our 70, and we can do our mental math because it's a really good idea. And we're going to take our wrestlers, and they're going to wrestle for the number, and our answer is going to turn out to be 7 times 2, which is 14. Add our 0 for our tens place, and that will equal out to be 140. Now see how I'm lining these numbers up so we can eventually, to get to the product, we're going to be adding at the end. So keep all of your numbers lined up in their right places. So now that we have these guys, we're going to move them out of the way. And last but not least, we have last. So for our L and our FOIL is last, we're going to multiply the last numbers. So the last numbers are 2 and 3. Pretty simple mental math. If not, just remember that you can use a calculator if most needed. But 2 times 3 we're going to write down here. 2 times 3. And we're going to have our wrestlers, last but not least, here we go. And they're going to wrestle for the answer. This answer, we're going to get 2 times 3 equals 6. We're going to line it up place value wise. And we're going to write our equals line at the bottom. Now that they've all wrestled, now that they've all had their time in the spotlight, we are going to find our answer. So let's see what we have here. Now that everything is lined up the way we need it to be lined up, I'm going to add 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 6. And that's going to equal 6, okay? Now, let's move, like we're saying, from right to left. We're going to move to the next number sequence over, which is going to be 0 plus 4 plus 4, which is going to be 8. So we have our 8. Then we have 6 plus 2 plus 1, which is going to be our 9. And then we finally, last but not least, have our 5 plus nothing plus nothing plus nothing. So our final product equals 5,986, which also is the same answer that we got with the other way we did this multiplication problem. And it's actually quite easy to be able to break down the numbers and show your work so everybody knows which number you're working with and how you're multiplying and adding them together. I'd like to show you a couple similarities in both of these problems just so you can see that we're really honestly doing the same thing, but just a little bit of tweaking so that you can break it down and make it maybe a little bit easier for yourself if this doesn't necessarily work for you. So, like I said, we have our 82 and we have our 73. We have our 82 and our 73 broken down into 80 and 2 and 70 and 3. So, when we do this, we're multiplying the 2 and the 3 here, but that's our last step on this side. But we're still doing it. We're not forgetting it. We're also multiplying the 80 and the 82 and the 3, which we're also doing here. We're just breaking it down a little bit easier. And we're also doing the 70 times 2, which is right here, the 140. And we're also doing the 70 times the 80, which is our first step. So we're just kind of breaking it down, and also we're kind of switching up the sequence in which we multiply. So, like I said, we have the 82 times the 73, and then we're just adding to get our 5,986 as our product. And we're doing this. We're adding the 80, or multiplying, the 80 and the 70, the 80 and the 3, the 2 and the 70, and the 2 and the 3, to finally add them all up together in a little bit longer of a step process to get our 5,986 as we did over here. I hope this helped. If this works for you, that's awesome. I know a lot of times the traditional way of doing a multiplication problem can be really difficult and seem hard because of the carrying of the numbers and the different ways to add. But by breaking it down this way, it will be a lot easier to be able to show your work, to show the place values, and to show the same product. Thank you again for watching, and I hope this helped.